one of the big freighters. Now, pay attention to that picture, and for later reference, okay, you got this big boat with a pilot house on the front. Remember that. This is, we're building bigger. If you look at it, so this is where the rig used to be, right there. Well, the barge came in, they expanded it out to there. The rig is now located all the way out here. That way we can handle the larger freighters. Does that mean? So that was the then, this is the now part. People ask me when I'm going to retire. Well, every morning, so I'm the first shift foreman, 7 to 3. I go there about 5, drive around, lifting stuff, and then I get out of my truck at the foreman's office at about 6. That's my view, right there. Like I said, this is an experiment. I think I've said that. So we still have Quarry operates 9 months out of the year with 60 employees covered. Right now I think we have currently 57 hourly employees. We do produce about 3.5 million tons. Operation is shut down June to March for repairs. Pretty much in the summer, we start up in March when we make as much stone as we can, we load as many boats as we can. Once stone starts freezing, it causes problems. You can't run in the thing. You also have an issue with the size of stone that you're producing changes when it freezes. Every piece of stone, so you're trying to make 2-inch rock. Every piece of that 2-inch rock you make during the day has moisture in it. The next day you come back, it's going to be broken open. You're going to have 2 1-inch pieces of rock. You have to be careful about how late you can quarry into the year, because that moisture in that rock will, once you start getting freezing going on, it's going to change that size stone. So in the winter, what we basically do is major repairs. We tear the crusher completely down. This past winter, what we did was we took the crusher, our main primary crusher, we stripped it all the way down. We took the entire top of it off and took the rotor out and had it shipped out and rebuilt. Over at our dry mill facility, we replaced every single wire in that entire place. So you do pretty much in the winter, you do everything you really can't get done when you're producing. When you're producing, you basically make a patch, make a repair, get it running. It's got to run. 2:30 today, I'm starting that plant. It's got to go. But during the winter, you pretty much tear the entire thing down and redo it. So just a definition of what limestone basically is. It's a rock containing 50% calcium carbonate. Aggregates, so what we do here is aggregates. It's basically a mixture of sand, gravel, stone, kind of a whole variety of things. Asphalt is 90%, concrete is 85%. So it's used in a lot of different things. So what we do here is aggregates. We make stone that goes into concrete, that goes into asphalt. Our stone out here is very good at binding stuff together. It's porous. On the one hand, that's good. It makes very hard concrete, very good at asphalt. On the other hand, that's bad. So if you got a piece of stone that is porous and is going to absorb, if you're going to make asphalt with it, you have to mix an oil-based product with that stone. Well, it's going to take a little bit more oil-based product to make your asphalt down. And as you know, oil lately is, dependent, going up and down. It's also the same with concrete. It binds very hard. Stone, the companies that we have up in Michigan, that stone is not very porous. So sometimes the people will actually buy stuff from there rather than pay them more for the oil or the concrete product you're going to put in there. So it just kind of depends on the market for oil, stuff like that. Over 90% of all aggregates are moved by dump truck. What we do here, we have a lot of trucks that come in out here, but we put the majority of our stone on freighters, and they leave here. But they will go to a dock in Lorain, Cleveland, and we will put this big mountain of stone there, and within 2 weeks, trucks come in and haul that entire pile away. So it's got to go from the docks we put it on into wherever the customers are somehow. We basically do about 3.5 million tons of stone a year. We do make so our final product sizes are a 4-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, and half-inch sizes, and then also a sand product called manufacturing sand. It's never not like a beach sand. It's sand that they use to mix in with other products, make concrete blocks, stuff like that. It's kind of a coarse sand you wouldn't really want in the playground, stuff like that. Our major products, 57 limestone right now is the hot product. We cannot keep this stuff on the ground. We make a pile of it, the next day a boat comes in and it goes away. Right now everybody knows 57s. 8s is very popular. So 57s would be your 1-inch stone. 8s would be your half-inch size. We also do a lot of what's called dense graded. You take sand and you mix it with the 57s or the 2-inch product and you have a high 304. We have the ability out here to be able, so if the customer wants a 57 or an 8, they buy that. That's what we take, that's what we put on the boat. But we also have the ability to take, so we wash, we crush, we separate all the stone, make different piles of it. But we can take all that, mix it back together into what's called dense graded aggregate. So an Ohio 411 it's all minus 1-inch stone mixed with sand. A 304 is 2-inch mixed with sand. Pennsylvania P2B would be 2-inch mixed with more 8s and stuff like that. Canada, granular A, Michigan, 21A, 22A. It's all different numbers for kind of the same product. It's basically base material. This is what you put down in a base before you put, the concrete or the asphalt on top of that. Depending on what the customer is going to do with it is determines the exact gradation stuff. It ain't just rock. It's got to meet a certain specification. It's got to be, the gradation's got to be right. The wash loss has got to be right. Stuff like that. We just did a big project. We are doing P209 Grand Bs. This is for an airport. It's got to meet FAA specs. It better be right. Because you put this down, the contractor's going to take this, lay it down there, roll it, compact it. Before they put the concrete on top, there's going to be an inspector out there who's going to take a plug of it, take a sample. If it's not right, it all goes out. Got to be right. So, this is our current face right now. I took this spring. This is what we're quarrying right now. Another picture is, so if you look at that wall, this is what we're quarrying right now. There's a drill sitting on top of this. This wall would be running straight south to north. If you go to the big mound that's right up on top of, just above the trailer court, this is just slightly a little bit away from just slightly a little bit west from there, running straight north and south. This is where we are allowed to quarry this year. You have to come up with a mine plan. You can't just go, oh, we're going to go there, we're going to go there, we're going to go there. You have to get with OD and NR. You have to come up with a 5-year mine plan. Last year, we were quarrying south, going that way. Now we are now allowed to go this way. So the reason we're now allowed to go this way is because the Daisy people have come out and they have taken their plantings on that area over there, and so now we're allowed to quarry back through that area. We actually had to stop quarrying south last year in September because you can't get within 1,000 feet of the eagle nest and quarrying between the breeding group. We also have a bat issue in the back woods over there. So yeah, we have daisies, we have bats, we have eagles. What can I say? So we have 2 drills. Actually, we just bought a brand new drill. This is the old drill. Actually, now we just bought a brand new drill. The whole pattern is 15 feet back from the edge, 15 feet apart. That's called your pattern spacing. Drill holes are about that big around. Each hole is examined. So once we have all this drill, we do our old drilling, and we have a blasting company come in and do the blasting for us. It's easier. We used to, LaFar or Stanislav used to do the blasting themselves. But it's easier to have somebody come in, bring the explosive, blow something up, and go away. So that's the whole bit. So when the blaster comes in, he gets down in front of it, and he's got now a 3D projection thing, and he can take a picture of the entire wall, and they can tell exactly what the thickness is, what the height is, where it's loaded to, what the depth is of that. And they load their holes based on all that stuff. So down the bottom of it, they put a high explosive charge, about that big around, that tall, big red plug. It's got a dynamite cap, blasting cap mounted in it, with a wire connected all the way to the top. They drop that all the way to the bottom of the hole, and then they load the rest of it with ammonia nitrate diesel fuel mix. It's called krill.
If you go to the next slide, part of it'll be there.
Well, okay.
Oh, yes.
So then they load with what's called krill. Is there another one?
Yeah, one more.
All right. Let's go prill, big area. They mount that in there, and so they load almost all the way to the top. The last 10 feet of the hole, they put in a layer of stemming, which is a layer of loose gravel that they put down in there. Basically, that keeps the explosive from blowing at the top like a mortar shot. But also, it keeps your noise blast down. It keeps the noise down somewhat.
It doesn't work very well.
Really? How long have you been here?
40 years.
Back when my dad was in charge of blasting, they used to load them right to the top. And I remember those, they were great. So, yes, we shake things up. So in between each hole, you have what's also called a delay fuse. Not very much, it's rated in milliseconds, but you can sit there, you can watch a shot go off, and you can see each and every hole go all the way across it really quick. But that's because it's better than one big bang. That accounts for the rumble. Yes, we shake, it rumbles a little bit. Well, a lot. I was, the other day, I sat down on the other end, and I couldn't even feel it down there. It also depends on where you are with the seam line. There are natural seams that run all the way through this entire peninsula, straight southwest to northeast. You can see them on the wall down there. You can see every one of those. And if you're on one of those when we're shooting, yes, you're going to feel it more because you're going to get that vibration more. We set up seismographs. There are 3 seismographs set up throughout this peninsula. We have each one monitored. They film each one. We are monitored by the state of Ohio. They come in and check us to make sure we are within, our tolerance, stuff like that. Yes, we shake things up. But isn't that part of the romance? Bay Point advertises their new condos, and they say, Quarry View. Makes it sound romantic, doesn't it? It doesn't say, working, noisy, blasting stone quarry, though. So, once it gets blasted down, comes down to the ground, we have a primary crusher production fleet. We have a single impact impeller crusher, which I'll show you later. We have 3 Cat 77 trucks. They hold 100 tons apiece. We have 3 Cat 992G loaders, 20 tons in a bucket. 3 buckets or 5 buckets in the trucks loaded. We can average about $14.50 on our production. We feeds the search by everything that goes to the primary crusher gets crushed down to less than 8 inches. Then it goes to a secondary crushing and screening and sorts it into the 4, 2, and 1. And there are pictures. That is a brand new $1.5 million Cat loader, 2017, 20 cubic yard buckets. The only thing this doesn't have on the picture is that both front tires, we now have chain wraps around those. They're big chains all the way around completely. It covers the entire front tire. That way, it's $8,000 a tire. And so if you're digging down there in the pile, you really don't want to have cuts going in there. So the entire things are wrapped in things. I mean, it's 1.5 million, but can you imagine how fast you can plow your driveway with that? And that loads into this truck here, 100 tons. Now, there are bigger trucks. I mean, out the gold mines out west, you've got trucks that are like 400 or 500 tons. You pretty much basically, you don't just walk into the Cat store and say, oh, I want that big shiny one right there. You base it on the production that you want to do, the amount of tons you want to do, and the distance that you have to haul. And that is how you pick your truck. And then your truck determines the size of loader that you're going to do. That's pretty much. These things are like the 2 brand new ones we have. It's like a Cadillac. It's automatic. You put it in gear, drive. It's smooth. It's really nice. Air conditioning. They got radio. So it comes up. It dumps down into the primary crusher. This is kind of, as the truck backs up, it dumps right down into this pan right here. You can see the pile of rock that's there, and and that opening down the bottom is going down into the crusher. Those bars that are down in there are called the grizzly chute. Anything that really doesn't need to be crushed down will get sifted through and will go all the way down the bottom conveyor through those bars. All the rest goes down into the crusher. That big red arm on top there is what, if the operator who's sitting right there in that control tower on the side, if he sees a rock that looks like maybe it's a little bit too big, I'm not sure about this, he can swing that arm over and break that rock in half. It'll handle a 5-foot square rock. And every once in a while, you get a real long, like a surfboard kind of thing, that'll go down in there and kind of jam up. It just slides right down in and he misses it. You have a hydraulic door down the side of it. You can actually move up and down, and if you can jostle that rock, if you can get it to fall and go on the rotor, it'll break it. It's kind of a side view. It's not really a good picture, but you can see, so the whole thing's a big structure, big tower, the main box right there on top. That is your main crusher. Inside there, so this is a picture of, so the hydraulic, so the doors on the inspection doors on the side are open. This is what is inside the crusher. It is a large steel drum. There are 3 big hammers mounted